Because the turtle tank, as it is also called in the West, has attracted followers. Particularly recently, the internet was captivated by a replica of the King of the Grill, looking like something that escaped from hell, or at least from the filming of Mad Max. But what the heck is it and why is it needed? Let us speculate in this video. Whatever one may say, war is the strongest catalyst for the development of weapons and military equipment. That is why the means on which great hopes were recently pinned are far from being prevalent. And yes, without traditional aviation and armored vehicles go nowhere, but sometimes war changes the direction of technology development so drastically that what was promising yesterday has to step aside for something absolutely different, sometimes even utterly ridiculous. But something that works here now, even if nothing like it had ever been considered for practical use before. The most glaring example of this war, tank visors and grills. The thing is, it was believed that the main danger to tanks comes from anti-tank missile systems, ATGMs, especially those using anti-tank guided missiles, homing ATGMs. It was for them that active protection systems like Drozd, Arena, and Afghanet were actively developed. This is if we talk about the Soviet-Russian direction of tank building, because there's also the Israeli trophy, used on many Western machines with its own developments there. Somehow it didn't work out, they all went into oblivion, but that's not what we're talking about today. The threat posed by armor-piercing subcaliber shells, barbs against which the designers maximized the armor and improved the DZ, is still relevant. In this area too, significant heights have been achieved. And what happened in the end? And in the end, it turned out that the threat is from the traditional ones. In the defeat of armored vehicles is significantly inferior to the threat that in reality came from the new challenge of small plastic, ever-buzzing and annoying quadcopters, the same FPV drones and kamikaze drones. Not only are they cheap, but you can also assemble them in any basement from improvised spare parts ordered on AliExpress, and not only. War is a battle of economies and money, big money. Sooner or later, the budget of the parties is exhausted, so when? An air defense missile, which is 10 to 20 times more expensive, and there's just fewer of them being made, that's just sad. But when a tank that's worth $3 to $8 million gets hit by a $500 drone, it's just heartbreakingly sad. Therefore, something needed to be done urgently. We didn't have to wait too long because tanks began to have even more anti-cumulative grids and became even denser with dynamic protection, including tight coverage of vulnerable zones like the gun mantlet or over-the-track shelves. And for strikes into the upper hemisphere, so-called visors or braziers have become coming into use widely. Although they were originally designed as makeshift defense against anti-tank guided missiles attacking roofs like Javelin or Enlau, they indeed helped with decent efficiency, saving the lives of tank crews. But their real potential was revealed in something else, waging war with drones. Of course, the visors, especially in the first variations, didn't fully protect as they didn't cover all the vulnerable areas of the tank where a PVShka operator could strike, so they eventually began to grow larger. A bit later, real chicken coops appeared, and then visor protection began to be riveted at factories. Some tank models like the T-80 received unique double visors due to their design, as they still needed an entire grille to protect the air intake behind the turret. However, the field geniuses, being closer to real-world practice, were still ahead, beginning to construct whole garages on tracks. The ultimate manifestation of their work were the Tsar-barbecues. According to legend, the first of these were built from a 72 which had a jammed turret traverse mechanism. The field geniuses simply figured out how to use a failed tank in action, though it's unlikely even expected the impact from their brainchild. It turned out that their shed on tracks was completely unrelated to drone attacks. It could move calmly, ignoring them, just like a beekeeper among the hives ignores the bees flying above him, paving the road. Clearing mines with the help of an additional minesweeper attachment. Underneath its dome, it was able to transport up to 10 people who could disembark through a makeshift gate at the back of a garage built over the tank. This meant the stormtroopers had the chance to find themselves in the most inconvenient place, which provided the surprise factor. All in all, the experiment was successful, and so today, a little over a month since its first mention, the King of Mangals has more than doubled. And not 3, maybe not even 10 or 20. These vehicles have already been seen in many directions. At least they were used in the Krasnogorovsky, Chasovyarski, and Ovdevsky sectors of the front. Moreover, during one attack, several of these sheds could operate at the same time, supported by other machines. The latter were also not afraid of drone attacks, since a powerful RAP system was also installed under the domes of the iron caps by default, neutralizing both homing ammunition and breaking the communication channels between the drones and the operator so that they fell in packs within a 100 to 150 meter radius from the lead vehicle. What to do with such a Frankenstein is not entirely clear, and therefore it should not be surprising that they received an even greater impetus for development. Another. On May 5th, David Axe, a military columnist for Forbes, raised alarm, pointing out a new stage of evolution on the battlefields. King Mangala, the updated Warhammer 40,000, got even bigger bars over his dwelling, serving as another layer of drone protection. But he also pushed a grand hellish machine ahead of him. Actually, it is an MT-7 mine neutralizer, shot at a favorable angle, making it look more like a demonic roller, to which an additional part has been attached. An electromagnetic attachment, EMT. Here's how it works. The troll moves forward, filling the track. When the rollers hit a mine, the explosion throws the frame upwards, after which the weight, the troll's shock absorber, is compressed by the detonation wave, resting on the tank's body. This is how energy is dissipated. The rollers are in free motion, not fixed anywhere, simply supported by chains. It's worth mentioning that KMT-7 is indeed likely the most formidable. The troll is the best of all the ones invented, because even though the KMT-6, 8, 9 or 10 have a different principle at their core, they don't immediately explode the mine, but simply dig them up, tossing them aside as if an afterthought. Additionally, on the new Tsar Mangal and its KMT-7, as I've already stated, an electromagnetic EMT attachment is also present. In essence, it is a standalone minesweeper, designed for trawling anti-tank mines with target sensors that react to the magnetic field of a tank. 2 electromagnets in the VMT create a faux electromagnetic field in front of them, mirroring the field of a tank. The magnetic fuses of mines react to this and trigger an explosion even before the tank reaches a dangerous proximity. This allows us to remotely destroy anti-tank mines, and anything that doesn't detonate is additionally processed with the roller. On the whole, the combination is quite effective and doesn't give Mainom a chance. It has further certified the conviction. The Tsar Mangal's experience can be deemed successful, and they are truly capable of solving problems in the modern battlefield. And here's another Tsar brazier based on the T-80BV which surfaced yesterday. The hanger, slightly shorter in the front, catches the eye. Apparently, this was done to ensure greater mobility of the gun. A patch system is installed on the roof and a trawl is also mounted, this time KMT. As the same Forbes columnist noted, the tactics of the armed forces of the Russian Federation is that a tank with additional improvised protection by a hinged trawl goes at the head of the column, clearing the way for other combat vehicles, possibly with a landing force covering them with itself from drones and homing septures. From everything else, it is already King Mangal who ensures it. Tanks, the next group with it. So up to the very positions, then it's up to the attack aircraft. Most importantly, this tactic makes it possible to ignore FPVs, launched by literally thousands. Previously, they completely deprived assault units of support of armored vehicles. Remember the experience of the Ukrainian armed forces in Rabotina or the Russian armed forces in Novomikhailovka, Mariinka, and so forth. Nobody had armor, yet it could protect them from, or suppress, for instance, enemy machine guns. Therefore, they operated in small groups without cover at their own risk. Now, thanks to the Tsar braziers, the ability to move in mechanized columns is possible again, which rewrites the previously established rules of the game. Such hangars are also convenient for rotating personnel, delivering ammunition and evacuating the wounded, and this is also key to the survival of assault units. In conclusion, it can be stated that the tracked garages have revived the front that had been frozen in one position. The numbers confirm this once more, since 46% of the equipment destroyed by Visuyu were victims of FPV and kamikaze drones. The anti-tank guided missiles that received such high praise at the beginning of the war quietly fizzled out and accounted for only 5% of losses. The javelins turned out to be a fake. They are expensive and there aren't enough of them. Well, the god of war artillery has a whole bouquet of genetic disorders. First of all, slow-wittedness and bone-eyedness. Plus, it also is lacking in many ways and knows it. What a history with shells. Only 2 arguments can be countered with the FPV, speed or armor. The first is now being developed. The second is the same iron kaput. Yes, possibly a dead-end branch of evolution. They will probably soon come up with counteraction methods. But the main thing is that such designs completely kill the potential inherent in the tank. This means more technologically advanced solutions are required to combat drones that will not reduce combat qualities. So what are the main disadvantages of the King of Mangals? First, a tank completely covered with steel sheets can turn the barrel by only 20 or 25 degrees, which turns it into a slow and clumsy self-propelled gun, incapable of quickly responding to emerging threats. Second, if the gun has a limited firing sector, then the field of view is also appropriate. Primary target designation in a situation like this should come from assault aircraft, or rather, correction from a drone. Normal vision is only applicable in front, totally absent on the sides. MICVOD more or less faces the same situation, and judging by some footage, the multi-purpose extensions really track the target via radio signal, practically by touch. However, it's likely that cameras are installed somewhere which temporarily solve the problem until they're destroyed in conflict. Another contributing factor, this shell is linked with crew evacuation. If the machinery is shot down somewhere in the field, it'll be considerably more challenging to escape from under the debris of your own shell. Also, this same David X criticizes that the structure's bulkiness affected the speed and maneuverability, but he's slightly skewing the truth here. The weight added by such makeshift armoring isn't much, so the vehicles remain almost as agile. Others mention the fragility of the attached structures, but all that's required of them is to intercept the drones flying towards the hangar without pilots before they reach the tank's vulnerable areas. Let's not forget that beneath the hangar shell lies a full-fledged tank that is quite well equipped to resist all known means of destruction. A small grenade detonating not within a weak spot but at a random location doesn't pose a problem for it. In theory, enemy attack aircraft can approach this virtually blind tank and toss grenades with ease. Or this same Leopard could engage in combat with the Tsar Griller. The Bobs don't care about all the superstructures, but this is a unique beast, not found in every unit, plus the aging tanks. Tanks have never acted alone. ATGM has not been cancelled either, but they still will have a hard time, given that Tsar Mangal is essentially spaced armor with a separation of more than 1 meter, and this is a significant barrier even for tandem cumulative vehicles which have not yet been designed for such large gaps between obstacles. It turns out, is Tsar Mangal really a miracle weapon? Yes, most likely situational and relevant specifically at this stage. But it was thanks to these canopies that the tanks got a slight breath of fresh air, as a year earlier they had no choice but to simply fight from closed positions like self-propelled guns. Now the tank is once again a weapon for breaking through the offensive, mainly benefiting the attacking side. For defense they are almost useless, except for active and counterattacks. Now global publications are sounding alarms. The King of the Grill is a huge and unexpected challenge. Let's see what happens next. And I will definitely keep you updated in my new videos. Subscribe so you don't miss new episodes, and give a like if you appreciated my humble reasoning. Good health to all. Peace, all the best, and see you soon.